If you're thinking on selling your house on your own without a realtor, you need to watch this video. I'm gonna give you all the steps you need to take in order for you to do the job right.
Thank you for participating in another episode of Home Seller Secrets, where we bring you the latest tips, tricks, and advice to help you sell your home. Your host, Fernando Herboso, broker, owner for Maxus Realty Group. Fernando is an author, entrepreneur, and expert listing broker for Maryland, DC, and Virginia. With over 30 years experience, Fernando has assisted hundreds of homeowners on the sale of their properties. Please welcome Fernando Herboso once again to another episode of today's Home Seller Secrets.
Hi, my name is Fernando Herboso with Maxus Realty Group, and today I'm going to be talking to you about how to sell your house without a realtor. I'm going to be giving you all the steps necessary in order for you to do the job right. And at the end of this presentation, I'm going to give you a special gift for you. I'm going to give you a list of all the required documentations that you need in order for you to sell your house in Maryland. This list is a handy list that you can follow along and making sure that you don't miss any of those documents. So now, I want to talk to you about selling the decision of selling your house on your own. This is a very difficult decision because it is a difficult job in order for you to be able to do that, especially when you're doing it on a part-time basis, because I imagine that you have a full-time job. But don't be afraid. I think you can do the job. If you have a system in place and you create a plan with steps that you must take in order for you to do this job, then I think you can be successful. So let me show you what we're going to talk to you about on this presentation and the steps you must take. Number one, we'll be discussing about the time in preparation of how long it's going to take to sell your house and how you can prepare your house. We're talking about being decisive and all the tools that you're going to need to stay focused on the job. And also we're going to talk about the detaching your emotions from the house, to making sure that your negotiations go right. We're going to talk about having the system that I'm talking to you. Most importantly, this system is going to concentrate on factors for safety for your family, to making sure that you're safe, and know that there is some things that you must be aware of whenever you're selling your house on your own. Then we're going to talk about marketing and compensation. We're going to talk about the use of a photographer and making sure that that you market your property right using those photos. And we're going to talk about the right documents and the contingencies that you're going to have within a contract. And also, like I was offering you before, if you stay until the end, I'm going to show you how you can get my list of documents that you need to have in order for you to sell in Maryland. And the closing details, there's a little things that you may miss at the closing table. They may cost you a lot of money, so you got to be very careful with that. So just wanted to tell you that I have over 25 years of real estate experience selling hundreds of homes over the years, and I have seen all types of situations and had all types of problems going all the way to the closing table. I'm going to try to share with you the best tips and making sure that you're always going to be in the lookout for certain things that they may be coming on the horizon that you may not be aware of. So let's get started, okay? So how long does it take to sell your house? You know, in the state of Maryland, I look at the numbers, and this is the first quarter of 2021. We're looking an average between 20 to 40 days. Basically, that's the time you should allocate to sell your house. Anything less or anything more of that, you know, then there is a disconnect there somewhere, whether you're selling your house for less money than you should be doing, or you put the house on the market for more money that you should be putting, and basically buyers are avoiding you. So be very careful. 20 to 40 days should be the time we should be thinking about selling your house. After you get a contract, how long does it take for the house to actually go to the closing table and get your money? Usually that will take between 30 to 45 days. That is the normal. So if we're looking about 20 days to sell your house, and let's say 30 days to sell the house and where you actually going to get the money and you have to give the keys of your house to the buyer, we're looking nearly 2 full months that you're going to be doing this. So be aware that you have to prepare for the long haul on this and making sure that this is the timing that you should be taking in consideration. How should you prepare your house to sell? It's going to depend basically on the type of market we are presently in. Right now, like I was saying, the first quarter of 2021 is a hot market, and a lot of buyers are going to forgive you not preparing your house to the maximum so you can get the most money. They will be ignoring certain little things that you don't have to worry. So there's no reason for you to be preparing your house, spending money, doing that kind of stuff, because it's not going to make that much difference on the final price of your home. But if it's a buyer's market where sellers are competing with each other trying to sell their homes, then that's a different story. You're going to have to not only fix, repair, and stage your house in order for you to be above the competition so you can sell your house. So be very aware what type of market conditions are right now when you're thinking about selling, and prepare your house according to that. So what do you need to prepare? What do you need to do? It all starts with doing repairs on the house, fixes that you possibly been neglecting over the months, over the years, and you need to fix those things because those are the things buyers are expecting when they come in a house. They don't want to buy a project. They're looking to buy a house. So making sure you're selling them a house. You need to replace items that are all worn out. Paint the house if possible. If it needs to be painted, yes, you should paint it. And obviously it needs to be super clean. It has to be very clean inside and out, especially the kitchen and the bathrooms. They have to be clean. And then pay particular attention to the curb appeal of the house, because that's the first thing buyers sees when they come to the house. And then if they see the property and it looks really nice, then they want to come inside. If they see the property and it looks crappy, they are not, some of the people are not going to even bother coming to the house. So be very careful about your curb appeal. Being decisive and being focused. What do I mean with that? You only have one chance to get the highest price on your house. Being decisive means putting the right price. If you put the house price too low, you may end up selling the house really right away, very soon. A lot of people are going to jump on it, and you're going to be wondering, maybe I should have got more money for my house. And if you put the house too high, you're going to be sitting waiting for buyers, and then when you realize no one is coming, you're going to drop your price to the right location, to the right amount. But then that's too late, because when people come to see your house and they're going to see how long you've been on the market, they're not going to respect your price, and they're going to lowball you on the price because they know you must be desperate because you've been trying to sell your house for a long time. So you got one chance to sell your house. Be very careful. The price is possibly one of the key things that you must make a decision on. You need to be very careful and then be decisive at the end. Making decisions, being cautious about making decisions sometimes is not helpful, because I am a believer, if you have a system in place and you have the plan one by one and you have done your preparation, there is no reason for you to be cautious anymore. You're going to make a decision and go to the next step and go to the next step. There is no way to be wandering again, because otherwise everything is going to just blow up on your face. You have to know what you need to do. You have to plan in advance. Consider basically the ramifications of each decision you have to make in your house. But then once you make that plan and you write it down, you don't have to make no more decisions. You just got to follow your plan, and don't be too cautious, and trust yourself, because I know that everything is going to work out at the end. It always does. Focus on the buyer's needs first before you focus on yours. This is a big mistake I see many sellers having. They're worrying about themselves, but they're not worrying about how to focus on the buyer's needs, because that's what's going to take to sell your house. and buyer is going to make the decision that they're going to buy your house and they're going to choose your house over other houses that they have seen. You have to stick out from that competition regardless what kind of market conditions we are in right now, because you're trying to attract as many buyers and you want to making sure that you are selling them something that they really want. And that is what I'm saying, focusing on their needs. See and feel what your buyers in your area are looking for, and you need to provide them with that within your house. Another mistake that I see a lot of sellers making is testing their price. Oh, I'm gonna just check to see if anybody is willing to pay us this. I'm gonna tell you this right now. Your house has a reputation, and I can tell you that reputation is very hard to erase it. So if you're trying to test the market with a higher price, and then later on you realize you have to sell your house and you have to drop your price, just like as I mentioned earlier, people are not going to respect you. You're going to have a bad reputation because your price was all over the place, too high, and now when you have it low enough, nobody's going to be crazy enough to give you a full price offer. They're always going to lowball you because they know you've been trying to sell your house for a long time. So don't make that mistake. Detaching your emotions, especially during negotiations. What do I mean with that? Don't take it personal when it comes down to selling your home. As soon your house is in the market, it becomes a product, and that is what I'm talking about, selling homes. And this is the science of selling a product into the market. It becomes a product. It's not a house anymore. So don't make emotional connections with your house just because you have something that you perceive to be of a major value when the rest of the population will not agree with you. Just because your granddaughter was born in this beautiful bedroom, that doesn't mean that you're going to overprice your house because you have that wonderful memory about the house and you expect everybody else to do as well. So be very careful. If your house is in the market, it becomes a product and you need to treat it as such. Pricing your house to sell. I'm going to give you some tips how you can do the right thing. Don't price it on hope. Don't price it with automatic CMAs on the computer that you may find with Zillow, Realtor, or different places, because they don't know nothing about your house. They don't have no idea what your house looks like inside, and they don't know anything about these houses that sold in your neighborhood because they don't go inside and compare the house with your house. So I want you to understand, to get the CMA, you're either going to have to pay an appraiser to give you a price on the house, how much your house is valued, or you need to get somebody with experience to do the right CMA where they can actually visit the competition to kind of see how your house compares, because that's what I do when I sell a house. I want to make sure before I set on a price and advise my owner and the seller to sell the house, I want to go and see the competition, because I want to see what all the buyers are going to be seeing when they come and buy the house, and I want to see how we compare. Now, if we go to this house, they may look too small or may look a little bit crappy, but when you go inside, they have big extensions and big kitchens and everything else, and obviously we're gonna have to adjust the price according to that. Or I will tell my sellers, we need to wait for the house to sell because that house is better value than yours, and if you're thinking to get more money for it, you're going to have to wait. So be very careful. Pricing your house is really one of the key things. And the other part that I want to give you advice is you need to hide the reason why you're selling. A lot of people, especially realtors, they're very slick. They're gonna come to you and gonna say, "Hey, what's the reason why you're selling?" I say, you're moving out of town. They wanna know, because that is a specific weapon that they can use in order for them to negotiate a better price against you. So when someone asks you what's the reason why you're selling, always give the standard answer. Your housing needs have changed, and leave it at that. Do not say anything else. And if you were my client, I will tell you, if somebody asks you, what's the reason why you're selling your house? Talk to my realtor. Let me do the talking for you, and I'll talk to them. But most of the time, if you're the seller and you don't have a realtor, that's what you need to say. Your housing needs have changed, and just leave it at that. Do not say anything else. Do not help sell your home. That's another area that you need help. And I know a lot of sellers, especially they haven't sold that many houses. You need to understand that you need to leave the buyers alone and your house so they can make a decision to buy your house. You cannot be right next to them and saying, this is the kitchen and this is the pantry. Let me show you my dishwasher. Let me show you my refrigerator. And don't be following around, because they're going to be so overwhelmed, they're not going to be able to make a decision to buy your house. You need to give them some room to breathe. You need to let them go in there so they can talk to each other, and they can basically pretend themselves that they can already picture themselves living in the house. And that's a good thing for you. But you are not going to help sell a house. No one will help you sell a house. The house itself will sell itself. You just understand the concept. The house itself will sell by itself. It doesn't need help from you. It doesn't need from your realtor, from other person. No one can convince somebody to buy a house. They have to feel it. In order for them to feel it, they need to give a chance to be alone with the house and be able to see it and be at ease so they can make that consideration. We're talking about having a system in place all around. What I'm talking about the marketing. You should be doing this. You should be writing this down and making sure you put your steps one by one. So then you don't need to be making any more decisions. You just gotta follow along. The safety of your family is very important. Okay, you need to go ahead and require appointments from buyers or from agents that bring in their buyers. Do not allow somebody to come in, knock on your door and say, hey, I see that your house is for sale. Can I come and look at it? That is a big no-no. And that is a major problem, especially when we're talking about valuables that you may have in your house, or they're looking, maybe some drug addicts, they're looking for medications and they're looking for your prescription pills. Be very careful, because there's a lot of people doing that nowadays. They pretend they're buyers, and they're easily, you're inviting them to your house, and not only they noticing what you have, but they may want to come back later on. And the way that they may do it is they may go to the basement of your house and pretend to be looking in the backyard through the window and unlocking it for later tonight so they can come back in and open that window. So be very careful all the time. Who are you bringing in the house? You need to trust them, especially if they have a realtor. That should put you a little bit more at ease, because the realtor is not going to be working with people like that. The realtor is working with people that are already qualified and ready to buy, and they want to make money. They're not going to be wasting their time on people. They're going to be just looking around. Your price, again, we're talking about the price. You need to have a detailed CMA in order for you to come out with the right number. Marketing. One thing I want to tell you when it comes down to selling homes is that when people are buying homes, they're not really buying a home, but they're buying a lifestyle. The reason why people looking for a new home to live is because they want a different lifestyle. They want to experience your house, but also they want to experience the community around the house, all the amenities and the things that is going to be easier for them to have, things that they haven't had that before. So the lifestyle is very key thing to understand when you're selling your house, especially when you're doing your marketing information. Think about that, the lifestyle. How is the new homeowner going to feel living in this house, and what amenities they're going to enjoy because they chose to live in this neighborhood. Compensation. I know that you're trying to save money, not to pay money to a realtor. that is fine. You don't have to pay money to a listing agent, but you may likely be paying money to a buyer's agent, because most buyers right now, before they start going to look for homes, they're working with realtors, getting prepared in a financial way to get their approvals from the lenders, to making sure that they're ready to buy a home. And these buyer agents, they want compensation from you because you are the seller. So if they bring their buyers to you, be prepared to be paying a certain commission. That is negotiable, but the standard is around 3%, 2.5% area. So be understanding on that, because if you decided, I'm not going to pay a commission to another buyer's agent and I'm not going to wait for the buyer to come to me, well, those buyers are tied up with contracts with their realtors. They are not going to, go over their heads and come in the dark at night trying to make a contract with you, because it's going to cost them money. The other thing is that the people that do not have realtors, they're not really serious buyers, because if they were, I can assure you, they already had a realtor. And so remember, you need to pay at least one side. And one advice also that I want to give you is that remember, a commission should never be an expenditure for you. It should be an investment. And if you have to pay to sell your house, in this case, it should be an investment that you have to make so you can get more money for your house, because you advertise it to as many people as possible. Now we're talking about the documents and contingencies that you're going to run when you're selling your house. First of all, the documents. If you do not have a realtor, you may consider getting a lawyer, because the documents are very important. They're going to protect you in order for you to sell the house, because if during the process of selling the house, the buyer may see something else, they may see another house that may be cheaper than yours, and it says, I want to get off this contract and I want to go and buy this house because I like this house better. If they find that you make a little mistake, you're off. They're going to tell you, I declare this contract null and void because you missed giving me this document. Goodbye, I'm going to buy this other house. And then you just wasted 30, 40 days trying to sell your house, and you have to put the house on the market, and you got zero at the end. So be very careful what documents you need to use. And I'm going to show you, like as I promised you, how to get a list of these documents at the end of this video. The contingencies, don't get sued, because that's what contingencies are for. And if you're making a bad misrepresentation as far as disclosing items in your house, you may end up being in court later on. It may cost you several thousands of dollars. So be very careful out there. Whenever you're doing selling a home, you need to disclose every single problems with your house. You cannot hide it. You cannot say, for example, it only floats the basement when there's snow on the ground. Since I'm selling in the summer, I'm going to be okay. But then when the winter comes and the new owner has the snow and they notice all this water coming in onto the basement, they're going to go back at you and say, you should have known that because you've been there 8 winters before, and you did not disclose that this basement floats. Not only you have to pay for my carpet, for my furniture, but you need to pay for my attorney and add another $25,000 for my damages that you create around my family. So you got to be very careful. You need to disclose everything and everything that's going on with the house. Now, there are certain items you don't need to disclose in the state of Maryland. Case in point, for example, if you have a house when there was a crime committed on this house where someone may have got killed inside the house, you don't have to say that to anybody, because within the law, Maryland, in the state of Maryland, you are not required to say that. But now, if the buyer asks you specifically that if there was, they heard that there was a murder taking place on this house, and you know that the fact is right, if you cannot lie to the person, you have to say the truth. But normally, there are certain items you do not need to disclose. You need to talk to an attorney or talk to an experienced realtor specifically about your house if you have some questions and considerations about your house that you may not have to disclose. And I'll be glad to take a call from you if you have any questions on that. The HOA docs, very important. You know, the buyer has a certain amount of days to review all the homeowners association docs that you need to provide, provided that your house is within a community. Because by law, you have to give those documents to the buyer so they can review it and making sure they're accordance to their needs and they are okay with everything that goes as far as the guidelines and rules of the community. If they decided, you know what, I want to get out of this contract, within a certain frame of days, you know, which maybe the next day, they're going to say, we'll review the HOA docs. We do not like the rules and guidelines, so we're declaring this contract void. And you don't have nothing to do. There is nothing you can do about that. They have 100% right to do that. So after the 3 days, sometimes it's 3 days, sometimes depending whether it's a condo, an HOA, you need to check on that. But after the days required for them to be able to get out, obviously after the days pass, they cannot do that no more. So within the frame of days, they can actually, any buyer can get out from buying your house and declaring the contract null and void. Home inspection contingencies. You know, this could be a nightmare for you that could cost you a lot of money. You know, I've seen many people, especially other realtors sometimes, where they may go and say, you know, I'm going to try to get this house, this contract, and they're going to offer you much higher price than what you're looking to sell it for. But then once you get a contract and you get it ratified, which means that you have a signatures between the seller and the buyer, then they're going to do a home inspection. And the contract is going to say, this is a condition of this contract, that we're going to be doing a home inspection in the next 7 days after contract ratification. So when they go to do the home inspection, you know, if they see that the air conditioner is a little bit iffy, or they see the roof is a little bit iffy, they're going to say, I want you to replace the roof and I want you to replace the air conditioning system. Otherwise, we're walking. So now they're going to put you in a bad place because you had other contracts to consider, but those contracts are long gone. You only got now only one contract, and these persons now are negotiating with you, pushing you against the wall so you can put a brand new HVAC system inside the house. So be very careful. What are you accepting on the home inspection contingencies, and watch exactly the wording, what they're putting in the contract before you can decide to accept it or not accept it. Financing contingency. This is another thing. Making sure that the buyer has an approval and making sure they're qualified and ready to go forward. But the financing contingency basically does not mean that the person is not approved. That person could be 100% approved. They have excellent credit. They have a great job, everything else. And they say they offer you for your house $300,000. And you were trying to sell the house for only $275,000. So you're very happy. You just sold the house for $300,000. So you're hoping that everything is going to go well, so you can go to closing and make that extra $25,000 in your house. Except the financing contingency. The financing contingency says that the buyer is willing to buy this house as long there is a financing accepted at the end, so they can lend them the money to buy your house. But then now the the company that's giving the contract, the company that's giving the loan to the buyer, excuse me, the loan company who's doing the loan package so they can give the money to the buyer so they can pay you for your house, they're going to be doing an appraisal. And the appraisal has to appraise for those $300,000. So let's say that you had the house for $275,000 and that's the actual value of the house, and the appraisal comes back at $275,000. So the bank is going to say, listen, buyer, we're not going to lend you $300,000 because you want to pay this person more money for the house. We can only lend you $275,000 because that's what the actual value of the house is. Now, if you want to pay the other $25,000 extra, go right ahead. but we can only lend you money based on a 275, what the appraised value of the house is. So if the buyer does not have the extra $25,000, then they can use the financing contingencies, come back to you and say, listen, we need to get out of the contract, and the contract is null and void because the financing contingency. We cannot get financing for the $300,000 on this house. So this is the reason why we're getting out of this contract. So be very careful. If you're accepting a price that's much higher than yours, that may be just a pie on the sky, because the house has to appraise for the higher price. It doesn't matter if they offer you $1 million more than what your house is worth, because it's the same thing. If the buyer cannot get a loan for the price offer, you're not going to sell the house because the financing contingency is going to trigger it out. As simple as that. Radon gas, and especially in Montgomery County, is required. You must have a test of making sure that there's no radon gas, and they're possibly going to be asking you to leave testing equipment inside your house, leave it there for 2-3 days, come back and see the results. And if there is radon gas in the basement of your house, the buyer is obviously going to be asking you to remediate that and pay for it. So be aware of the radon gas. Possession contingency. What does it mean is that some people may say, listen, I'm out of my house already. Can we move into your house like 2 weeks before we go to closing? And I will pay you rent for 2 weeks. Be very careful on that, because what happens if they move into your house before you actually get your money, and that person, something happens on the contract and the bank says, listen, we cannot give you the money, the whole deal is off. Now you have that person living in your house already, and now it suddenly becomes a tenant with rights that you cannot just kick out the next day. You may have to go through court, big problems. Be very careful with possession contingency. Let's go to the other way. Possession contingency, when the person says, you can tell the buyer that I'm going to sell my house, let's say on January 1st. We're going to go to closing on January 1st. But me, the seller, I'm going to wait until the 15th to move out. So I need to stay on the house for 15 extra days. So you can do that. You can add that to the contract and give you a little bit more time to move out. That is a better situation for you, because that's giving you a chance to stay on the house. You don't have to hurry to move out. And especially if you already have another place that only is going to start in 15 days. So that gives you the time to move into the new house. So think about contingencies to be conditions that can be hurtful to you, but it can also help you. Sell other home contingency. This is the mother of all contingencies, because what you're doing is basically somebody comes and says, I want to buy your house, but I need to sell my house in order for me to buy your house. I like your house. I'm going to pay you what you're looking for, but I need to sell my house. But then if you say yes to that, then you're giving them the power to sell the house first before you can sell your house, and you don't have any control. When you don't have no control, you don't know how much they're trying to get for the house. They may be with a price so high that they will never sell it, so they will never buy your house. And then meanwhile, you're sitting down waiting for these people to come in there with your house under contract where no one else is going to see it, and you're waiting for that person to sell the house and hoping they're a good salespeople, they can sell the house quicker. So be very careful with the sell my home contingency before I buy your house. Be very careful with that. Now the closing details. You went through the inspections, you went through all the contingencies. Now is the time to go to the closing table. Still, you got to be very careful, because you may be able to see some little things in there that may cost you money. I've seen this many times. The deposit, the earnest money deposit. Remember, that has to take in consideration, hoping that when you took a contract, you're going to have a deposit. Let's say for $5,000, that deposit should be within the attorney's office to making sure that's part of the payment of the house. Let's say somebody give you $5,000. This is not an extra $5,000 you're going to get for the house. The $5,000 they're giving you as an EMD is part of the price that they're selling they're paying for your house. So if your house is $300,000 and they give you $5,000 deposit money, at the closing table they only have to pay $295 because they already give you $5. Credits. When you're talking about, let's say you did have some problems with your HVAC system in your house, the air conditioner, the heater, whatever, and the buyer says, you know what, I'll take care of this, but you need to give me $2,000 credit at the end. And you may accept this because the other option you may have is, do I spend $7,000 to bring somebody to go through this process of changing my whole system, or I give this buyer just $2,000 and let him take care of it? So obviously the $2,000 is much better option for you. So those credits are going to be noted at the table, but make sure that it's everything that you agree already for, and you have an addendum signed saying that you are accepting those credits. Repair receipts. I'm going forward. Review the CD, which is the closing disclosure. This is the document where you have all the numbers that the attorney, the title company is going to prepare. You need to see this thing at least 24 hours in advance because you need to check those numbers. Get your calculator, making sure all those credits, everything is done correctly, because that is the CD. You have the right to see those documents, and do not get surprised at the table and they're going to just shovel the document in front of you, and you're going to see 100 numbers and you don't know which way is up or down, and you're not going to have time to review them. So be very careful and get that CD beforehand, and get your calculator and making sure everything matches what your contract that you have agreed with the buyer has, all that information as far as the numbers. Making sure your taxes are being paid, making sure that the payoff for your bank is correct. All those things are very important. At the closing also, if you had to fix the air conditioner and you fix it, you need to bring the repair receipts that you have taken care of the problem. So if the home inspection contingency will happen and you agree that you're going to take care of the air conditioner, then you're going to have a service, then you're going to call a company, they're going to do this job, and then they're going to give you a receipt. That receipt is really the proof that you need to bring a closing table to tell them, on the home inspection, we had to fix the air conditioner. Here it is. Here's the receipt. That's proof enough to be able to say, okay, you did the job. But if you're looking for a handyman that is your cousin that does work on the side, be very careful out there, because the handyman is not going to be able to give you a receipt from an actual company. And that may not be enough for the buyer saying that you did the job right. So be very careful with that. Broom clean. What does it mean, broom clean? Whenever you move out of the house, you cannot be just leaving a house a mess. You know that. Take all the trash out, making sure everything is out of the house, and be respectful to the buyer, because they want to move in and they don't want to start moving all junk or things that you did not want, that you left it on the garage or whatever. Be very careful with that. Need to bring the keys, extra keys, any keys about the mailbox and everything else, just bring it to the table. This is where you're going to give the keys to the new buyer. You need to leave your new address with the buyer, because several weeks later you may be getting some important mail information. So you want to make sure you create a relationship with the buyer so they can send all that stuff at one time, maybe once a week or once every 2 weeks, until all your mail is completely gone and everybody knows to send you to your new address. Then about the money. So if you sell a new house, the title company is going to take the money that you're getting for the house. Let's say it's $300,000, and let's say you owe the bank $200,000. They're going to take $200,000, and the closing cost is going to cost you maybe another $10,000. So basically, the rest of the money that belongs to you. So now, how you going to get it? What I advise you is just do an instant wire transfer, so it can come directly to your account, and just give them a blank check so they can do that for you. And instead of taking a check from them and having to go to your bank and having to deposit, and you have to wait several days for it to clear, wire transfer is the best way to get your money. So now I wanted to just end this up with a reminder about the compensation. You know, I know that you want to sell your house on your own, and I admire you for it. Like I say, this is a full-time job that you're going to be doing on a part-time basis. So be very careful and be very certain that you're going to get the most money for your house, because after all, a commission should never be an expenditure for you, but it should be an investment. If you're investing on somebody, it's because they're going to work full-time to get you full price. Remember that. So now we're going to talk about how you can get this documentation and the list that I promised. First of all, I want to offer you a book that I wrote about what your real estate agent is afraid to tell you. I will tell you exactly how you can prepare your house and a little bit more in detail some of the things that we talked about today, especially about what to fix and what not to fix in your house. A lot of times, a lot of sellers are spending thousands of dollars repairing stuff that they don't need to do because they're not going to get that money back when they sell their house. In this book, I'm going to show you where you need to spend money and where you don't need to spend money. So just go to fernandosbook.com. All I need is your email address, and then just you get it back in a PDF and you can read it anytime. So how you can get and receive the list of documents necessary for you to sell a house in Maryland. You need to write this down right now. The phone number 301-971-0545. You need to text to this number the word docs. Once you do that, automatically it's going to text you back the link where you can get the list of the documents that I'm promising you today. Everything is automatic. I don't have to do anything. The only thing you need to do is just text to this number the word docs, and it gets done. So finally, I want to tell you, my name is Fernando Herboso with Maxus Realty Group. I am a broker for Maryland and Virginia. My website is reallynicehomes.com, and I want to thank you for staying with me the whole time. Hopefully, this video has helped you, and if you decided you want to maybe explore using a realtor to help you sell your house, I'm not asking you to give me the listing. I'm asking you to at least give me a chance to come to your house and make me prove myself to you that I could be a great investment when you sell your house. Thank you, and have a good day and good luck.